Hey there. Tonight we're going somewhere most people never even think about. Not into the past of palaces or poets, but beneath the city itself. Beneath the cobbles, below the market stalls, under the boots and hooves and carriage wheels. A place that rarely saw sunlight, but always carried the weight of the city's breath and bile. So if you're listening in the dark, go ahead and dim things down just a little more. Maybe pull the blanket a bit closer or let the quiet hum of night settle in. And while you're getting comfortable, feel free to like the video or subscribe, only if you genuinely enjoy what we do here. You can also let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us and when. Because tonight we're headed under Paris. But not the glamorous Paris of oil paintings and lace. No, this is the 1830s, the time of cholera, horse dropping and soot-thick fog. And beneath it all, an entire world moved in silence, dug, drained and died down there. It wasn't carved with care or marble or plans. It was clawed through muck by men like you. And for the next little while, that's who you are. A sewage road labourer, a tunneler, a cleaner of the filth that had nowhere else to go. The city slept above. You worked below. You've taken the job because you didn't have much choice. Few do. You're strong enough to carry a spade, poor enough not to mind where it's going. The crew calls you new meat, but there's no welcome. Just a thick rope and a flickering lantern handed off like a sentence. The foreman says nothing, just grunts toward the old Pont-Neuf arch where the cover has already been slid aside. It's barely dawn. The sky's the colour of dishwater, and your breath curls in front of you like smoke from a bad dream. You hesitate. Not for long, but long enough to make them laugh. You hear one mutter behind you. If he hesitates now, he'll cry before the rats. Another coughs, spits, and taps his boots against the stones. Let's see if the sewer swallows him whole. You take hold of the rung and descend. The ladder isn't a ladder so much as wet stone notches, slippery with algae and years of forgotten things. As your boots slide down, the light disappears behind you, and another kind of darkness replaces it. This isn't the dark of night. It's the dark of something older. Something damp and layered and stubborn. The air changes, heavier, thick like it's been sitting in a jug for months. You can taste the iron first, then something more. Rot, maybe. Coal smoke, meat gone sour. By the time you reach the bottom, your eyes have adjusted to the dim halo cast by the lantern. It isn't much, but it's enough to see that everything down here gleams, not clean, just wet. Every brick, every pipe, every curve of wall sweats with a kind of grime that never dries. You're waist deep in runoff before anyone speaks to you again. It's not clear what it is exactly. Rainwater, waste, slaughterhouse spillage, river backflow. But no one gives it a name. The others say calling it something makes it more real. So you just walk. The tunnel narrows and hums. Somewhere above, wheels creak over cobbles and someone shouts in early morning French. But down here, the voices are muffled. Time feels slower. Your first job is to help clear a blockage. A mass of cloth, bones, straw and rags has dammed part of the flow, causing it to back up in a sad burble. One of the men hands you a rod, long, rusted, shaped like a shepherd's crook. Scrape, he says, and don't stab too hard. If it shifts fast, you drown first. You jab gently, feeling resistance like a wet mattress. A terrible squelch follows as something gives way and a rush of new filth swirls past your thighs. It's warmer than you expect. You feel your breath catch, but you don't gag. Yet. The others don't seem to notice your face. One is lighting a stub of tobacco. Another has a chunk of bread tucked into his coat. "Don't eat down here," a voice murmurs behind you. "The smell gets into the bread. You'll taste this muck for a week." You nod, though no one can see. Farther down, you hear a sound, scratching, sharp, deliberate, rats, the size of cats, they say, and not afraid of men unless you kick hard and aim for the spine. Someone lets out a dry laugh as another man loses his footing, sinking nearly chest deep before hauling himself back. Paris' intestines worms, he mutters. And we're the worms. That gets a chuckle, then a cough, then nothing. The tools clank softly. The runoff moves slow and reluctant. Your arms already ache. Lanternlight flickers as a breath of gas escapes from a side tunnel. It's not enough to flare, just a warning. They call it sewer breath. Invisible, thick, and sometimes fatal. You keep moving. One of the older workers pauses to show you a trick. How to listen for hollow spots in the floor that could collapse beneath you. It doesn't echo right, he says, tapping gently with his boot. You try. You can't tell the difference. He doesn't comment. There's no sense of direction here. No north or south. Just bends, junctions, and a slow descent into deeper dark. The tunnel ceiling dips lower. You crouch without realizing. Your back begins to protest. It's early still, and already your skin itches from contact with the water. Some say the rot gets into your pores. Others swear it never leaves your lungs. You reach a point where the brickwork has crumbled, and the crew has laid wooden planks across a narrow channel. You cross carefully, each step hollow and creaking. Below you the runoff bubbles. Not fast, not loud, but persistent. Like it knows where it's going. You look up. A faint circle of daylight wavers far above. A street grate. The light doesn't reach you, but you can feel it's there. Almost mocking. Almost kind. There's no clock down here. You mark time by the shift of aches across your body. First your thighs, then your shoulders, then the arches of your feet where the boots rub raw. The rest of the crew doesn't speak much, but you begin to learn their names without being told. There's the tall one with a lopsided gait, who whistles tunelessly. He's called Tambour. Maybe because he used to be a drummer in some forgotten war. There's a short man who never stops chewing dried root, lips stained and teeth blackened. They call him Sour. And the one with burns on his hands and neck who still wears gloves too thin to help. No nickname for him. No one jokes near him. He's just called Quiet. You walk behind them, trying to mimic their balance on the slick stone. No one holds out a hand. If you fall, you fall. A blockage ahead has slowed the current, so you're ordered to help heave a bucket rig into place. It's a simple setup. Rope, iron hooks, and a battered pulley looped through a grating overhead. The rope smells like old rope always does. Wet dog, coal smoke, something worse. Your job is to hold it steady while Quiet climbs onto the ledge and lowers himself down toward the jam. You shine the lantern, though the light only makes the water glitter like tar. He works fast, slicing through the clot with a hooked knife, and a small avalanche of offal and rags tumbles free. The smell punches you like a fist. You stagger back, retching, and hear Tambour laugh. That's the cologne of the city, he says. You get used to it, or you stop breathing. Either way, it solves itself. When the flow clears, it rushes forward with a new hunger, slapping against the walls like it's alive. You try not to imagine where the contents have come from or what they brush against as they pass your legs. Somewhere far above a bell tolls, faint, but there. Mid-morning maybe, or late, or early. You've lost the thread. You hear a shriek echo from another tunnel, high-pitched and wet. Not human, just a rat fight, probably. You tell yourself that twice. You pass a section where the walls are newer, the bricks still sharp at the corners. A repair, someone says. Collapsed last year. Buried a man up to the waist before they pulled him out. Took the skin off his legs with the suction. He lived. For a few months. You nod, not sure why. There's no reply expected. The ground rises slightly and the water thins to ankle height. The smell changes. Less fecal, more chemical. You're near one of the tanneries now, where hides are scraped, soaked and soaked again. The runoff here carries traces of lime, lye and blood. The walls are crusted with a pale residue that flakes when brushed. Tambour tells you not to touch your face. The first time someone did, their eyes swelled shut for a week. Another man swears he lost his sense of taste after stepping barefoot into a puddle during lunch break. You ask why he was barefoot. No one answers. You suspect the answer is worse than silence. The planks here are narrower. Your shoulders brush the walls. You hear rats scurrying above your head. climbing the brickwork, racing towards something, or away from it. Lunch break happens without fanfare. One by one, the men climb onto a narrow ledge that runs beside a drainage basin. You're handed half a roll and a lump of cheese the size of a matchbox. You take one bite and nearly gag. The smell of the sewer has soaked into your hands and now into the food. No one watches you, but you know they're waiting to see if you complain. You chew, swallow. The cheese is tough, more salt than flavour. You say nothing. A nod from sour. Quiet, smokes something sharp and herbal that makes your eyes sting. Tamba dips a cloth in the runoff, then scrubs his boots with it. You stare. Cleaner than the rest of me, he shrugs, then tosses the rag aside. It floats briefly, then vanishes under the black surface. After lunch, you help move debris out of a side tunnel that hasn't been touched in months. The water is stagnant. Nothing moves here. You shine your lantern and see the surface ripple, not from current, but from insects, tiny ones. Swarming like oil. You step carefully. Too carefully. Your boot catches on something soft. You look down and realise you're standing on a bundle of cloth. No, not cloth. Something wrapped in cloth. You freeze. Tambor comes over, sees it, and sighs. Don't touch it, he says. Don't poke it. Don't ask. He marks the wall with a piece of chalk, a crude circle with a cross through it. Someone from up top will deal with it. Eventually. You ask if it's what you think it is. No one answers, but you already know. The shift stretches on. You forget the feeling of dry socks. Your hands have gone pruny and pale, your fingertips tingling like they're trying to warn you. A trickle of cold leaks down your spine, condensation from the ceiling. You step wrong once and twist your knee. It throbs for hours. No one offers relief. There's no stopping. The foreman doesn't speak, only gestures when it's time to move on. You pass under an old stone arch where graffiti has been scratched into the wall with coal. Names, shapes. One reads, Juillet 1831. Encore ici. Still here. You trace the letters with your eyes. Wonder if the man who wrote it ever left. Or if he's floating somewhere behind you, his name are the only thing that remembered him. By late afternoon, if that's even what it is, the work turns from scraping and hauling to inspection. A section of the tunnel has been flagged by the city's engineers for structural weakness. Not that any of them have come down to see it. No one in the waistcoat sets foot here. They just draw the lines on a map and send word to men who don't get names in ledgers. You and Tambur are sent ahead with a rod and a lantern. The ceiling here is lower still, the arch tighter, forcing you to crouch as you move. Drips fall steadily from above. Not rainwater, condensation, breath from the city. You tap the bricks with the rod, listening for dullness, for emptiness behind the shell. Tambor hums a slow tune, the sound oddly soft in the cramped air. This tunnel, he says, was laid in Napoleon's time, never fixed, like most of us. You ask him how long he's been down here. He shrugs, long enough to forget what silence sounds like. He means above ground silence, the kind without dripping, without scratching. He points out a fissure running along the corner seam. If that gives, it'll take 20 metres with it. Flood half the quarter before the next bell tolls. You stare. And what do we do? He grins. Hope it doesn't. Then marks it with soot, a crude slash. That's an engineer's problem. We just name the ghosts. You wonder how many of these marks litter the walls. How many corners of this place are held together by memory, not mortar. You walk on, more careful now. Your feet echo differently when they pass beneath certain arches. Some sound hollow, some sound like they're already mourning something. Eventually, the crew turns back toward the main drain channel, wide enough to stand without stooping, but barely. The walls here bulge slightly, the pressure of the soil above pushing in over the decades. You see faint outlines where the old medieval sewer was bricked over. Tambur gestures at the curve. That's where the pigs used to walk. You blink. 4 men cleaned it. Pigs did, he says. City let them roam, eat the rot. People thought it was efficient, until the pigs started getting sick. You imagine a tunnel filled with snorting half-blind animals wallowing through waste. It doesn't seem any more absurd than this. They banned the pigs, he continues. Then they hired us. He doesn't laugh, just keeps walking. You wonder which system was more humane. By the time you reach the end of the main stretch, your arms hang like sacks of flour and your legs tremble with each step. You lean against a warm pipe, steam not gas, thankfully, and wipe your forehead with a sleeve that only makes things worse. Quiet passes you without a glance, nodding toward a cistern chamber. We go in pairs, he says. If you slip in, you don't get out alone. You follow. The chamber is round, tall, with a narrow ledge circling the basin. The water, or whatever it is, rises near the rim. A slow spinning vortex marks the centre, where flow pulls toward a lower tunnel. You walk carefully along the edge, eyes on your feet. The ledge is slick with mould. A rat watches from the far side, its eyes reflecting the lantern. It doesn't move. You don't blink. At the far end of the chamber, you help clear a grate choked with debris. This is finer work. No rods, just fingers and a hooked wire to pull clumps of hair, twine, and who knows what from between rusted teeth. It smells like old meat and iron filings. You try not to breathe through your nose. As you work, your fingers brush something small and hard and you tug it loose. A child's boot, leather split at the toe. Inside, nothing. You turn it over in your palm. It's dry. Or it was. Quiet sees it, nods once and drops it into a sack. If they ask, he says, we found it empty. You don't reply. You watch it vanish into the bag. You tell yourself it's just a boot. You repeat that until you forget what you're saying. When the work is done, you sit on the floor of the chamber, head resting against the damp wall. You hear a soft creak above, someone walking a street 2 stories up. Their footsteps sound like whispers here. There's a strange calm, a lull in the rot. The lamp glows steady for once. You close your eyes, just for a moment, and hear something breathing. Not yours, not Quiet's. A slow exhale from the water. You open your eyes. There's nothing there, just the vortex turning. But your pulse has doubled. Your eyes quickly, the lamp flutters once, then steadies. The tunnels breathe, Quiet says behind you. You'll hear it, see it, sometimes. It's just the air. That's all. But his eyes don't match his voice. You don't ask, you just climb out. You regroup with the others near a vertical shaft where buckets are being raised to street level. You're handed a rope and told to haul. Your hands scream. The bucket jerks, sways, creaks as it ascends. Another follows, then another. Above, a vendor curses as something spills. Merde! It stinks, Tambour shouts back. That's Paris, madame. A laugh ripples down the shaft. You grin without meaning to. It fades quickly. The shift's nearly over, but there's no celebration. Just more walking. The tunnels are never finished. They don't close. You pass one man marking a wall with a stubble of chalk. List of days worked. He's on number 311. Below it, someone else's mark ends at 19. No name. Just silence. Just a smudge in the soot. By the time your shift ends, it's hard to know what hurts most. Your shoulders feel wrenched from hauling. Your back screams every time you straighten. The boots have rubbed the skin off your ankles, but worse than any of that is the cold that's settled into your bones. It's not surface cold, not a shiver. It's the kind that takes up residence inside you and doesn't leave. The kind you can't sweat out or sleep off. The kind that makes your joints feel older than you are. You follow the others toward a shaft near the fish market, where a ladder leads back to the surface. Tambour claps you once on the shoulder. Still breathing, he says. It's the closest thing to praise you'll get. You nod and begin to climb, every rung a small insult to your muscles. The street hits you like a slap. Light, sound, air that moves. Smells no better. Fish guts, manure, damp stone, but it smells different. Up here, the stink changes with the hour. Down there, it's eternal. You squint against the sky. Pale, bleached by fog and coal smoke, but still brighter than you remember. You shuffle toward the standpipe where a thin stream of water dribbles from a cracked spigot. You wash your hands, not that it helps. The grime has set in. The lines in your palms look darker. The skin feels like it belongs to someone else. You look up and see a boy staring at you from across the street. His face scrunches. He turns and runs. You don't blame him. You smell like everything he's been taught to avoid. You trudge home, if you can call it that. The tenement is 4 stories of rotted wood and stone, crammed between 2 factories that hiss at all hours. Your room is shared, 3 others, all labourers of some kind. You push the door and step over 2 men playing cards on the floor. No one looks up. You sit on your cot. It groans. You groan louder. You peel off your boots and see that 1 toenail has gone purple. Your socks go straight into the stove. The others nod approvingly. One man tells you about a fellow who didn't burn his socks. They walked off on their own. You believe him. Someone passes you a crust of bread and a chipped cup of hot onion water. No one talks. There's nothing left to say. When you sleep, you dream of water. Not rivers or oceans, tunnels, circular, close breathing. You feel the brick curve around your shoulders. Hear the hiss of gas, the scratch of tiny claws on stone. You wake up coughing, and one of your bunkmates throws a pillow at you. "Not again," he mutters. You apologise, voice hoarse. Your throat burns. You taste copper. You wonder how much of what's in your lungs doesn't belong there. There's no doctor, no time. You get up, dress, and go. Another day waits beneath the city. The sewer doesn't keep track of your hours. It only knows that someone must go down, and today, it's you again. Back at the Pont Neuf site, the foreman grunts at you without meeting your eyes. You're handed a fresh lantern and a rod, and pointed toward a section near Rue Saint-Denis. "Old clay tunnel," he says. "Watch your footing." You nod, though your body aches in protest. Quiet joins you without a word. The descent feels faster today. Not easier, just familiar. Like your body has accepted that it lives here now. The tunnel is tighter, the walls uneven. You duck to avoid a beam. Quiet walks ahead, stepping with practiced care. The light bounces off surfaces that look less like stone and more like compacted mud. You realise this part of the system predates the others, dug by hand when Paris was smaller, hungrier, and even filthier than now. Here the smell changes again. Less chemical, more organic. You smell rot, yes, but also something sweet, sickly, like overripe fruit left on a windowsill too long. Quiet stops, suddenly lifts a hand. You pause behind him. A sound. Crackling. Not gas, not water. He edges forward, lamp low. A section of the wall has caved slightly. Loose bricks, wet clay lay, black water pooled beneath. You step closer and see the shimmer of something metallic. A coin. No, several. Scattered like offerings. Quiet doesn't touch them. He kneels, squints, then stands. "Flood washed it in," he says. "From above. Old market, maybe." You ask if people used to dump coins down drains. He shrugs. Or maybe someone hid them. Doesn't matter now. You move on but glance back once. The coins stay behind, untouched. You reach a section where the tunnel widens abruptly into a dome-shaped chamber. The floor is uneven. Some stone, some just earth. A trickle runs through the middle. Tambure is already there, pushing her to a crude wheelbarrow filled with debris. "This one floods easy," he says. "Rain in the north makes it rise in minutes. Don't linger." You nod, helping to shovel muck into the cart. It's heavier than it looks. Every scoop carries not just weight, but story. Bits of cloth, broken combs, shards of pottery. Lives, all of it. Lost or tossed. You scrape up something long and pale. A bone, maybe. You don't ask what kind. Tambure glances over, then away. The cart fills. The air thickens. The water level climbs an inch in 10 minutes. You hurry. You don't want to find out what happens if it climbs too far. By midday, your boots squelch with every step heavier than they should be. You've long stopped trying to keep your feet dry. No one does. You've learnt the rhythm now. Brace, scrape, lift, heave. Every movement costs something. You pay in sweat, in skin, in the sound your spine makes when you bend too far. The crew has split again, half to the upper catchments, half to haul out scrap and debris. You go with tambour, dragging ropes behind you like veins trailing a body. The tunnel curves in a long spiral downward. The brickwork darker, slicker, mottled with streaks of soot and old lime. He points upward to a thick pipe crusted in pale sediment. That one's from the slaughterhouse, he says. If it bursts, run. You look at the pipe. It hums softly. You walk faster. The work down here is different. Less clearing, more navigating. Tambour hands you a scraper and signals toward a grate that looks more vine than metal. Roots and rags have twisted through it, forming a thick web. You kneel and begin to pull. It resists like it's alive. The smell is something new, faintly herbal, oddly sweet. Someone dumped perfume, or something meant to cover up worse. You pull harder. The grate groans, then gives way all at once, dumping a clump of soaked cloth and splinters into your lap. Inside it, a doll's head. Porcelain, cracked, staring. Tambour snorts. Better than a real one. He tosses it behind him into the current. It bobs for a moment, then vanishes down the tunnel, eyes first. You feel a chill that's not from the water. Later, you haul a broken barrel from a side channel. It's soaked through, bloated like a drowned thing. Tambour pokes it with his rod. Brandy cask, he mutters. Or piss barrel. Hard to say. He sniffs it. Definitely piss. You laugh, dry and sharp. Hurts. Everything does. You sit on the edge of the channel and rub your shoulder, now stiff from repetition. Tambour lowers himself beside you. You last longer than most, he says. Haven't cried, haven't quit. You shrug. Not sure that's a good thing. He nods. It's not. You both sit in silence, listening to the echo of the water. Somewhere down the line, something metal scrapes against stone. Neither of you moves. If it comes closer, you'll know. If it doesn't, you don't ask questions. At the end of the shift, you follow the rest of the crew to a surface shaft near Les Halles. This one is steeper. The ladder is slick, and each rung squeals under your weight. When you emerge, you're nearly blinded. The market is in full swing, fishmongers shouting, carts clattering, women bargaining with baskets slung over their hips. You blink, dazed, and a man bumps into you. "Watch it!" he shouts, then sees your coat, your boots, your grime. He wrinkles his nose and backs away. You don't speak. You don't have the energy. You walk through the crowd like a ghost. They part for you subtly. No one wants to touch you. No one wants to know where you've been. You pass a bakery. The smell is divine. You don't stop. Your stomach twists, but your feet don't slow. Back in the tenement, the day's silence is broken by coughing, laughter, the clink of bottles. You enter, peel off your coat and drop it near the stove. One of your roommates is boiling something in a dented pot. Potatoes and cabbage, mostly water. He hands you a bowl without speaking. You nod in thanks. You eat slowly, even though it's scalding. The heat feels good in your mouth against your teeth. You stretch out on your cot and stare at the ceiling. A crack runs across the plaster like a river on a map. You wonder what flows beneath that line. You drift off to the sound of boots being kicked off, of low voices telling jokes you're too tired to follow. Your hands still twitch as if gripping a rope. In your dream, you're falling, not fast but endlessly, down a tunnel that never narrows, only coils. You wake before dawn and you're already dressed. The others are still snoring. You slip outside into the narrow alley and make your way toward the Pont Neuf shaft again. This time you're early. The foreman grunts. You take it as a compliment. Today they send you with a smaller crew to clear debris near the Ile de la Cité branch. It's older there. The tunnel is more organic, less designed, more grown. You descend with quiet and sour, each of you holding a lantern that seems too weak against the dark. The air shifts. You feel it press against your chest like a hand. The water here is shallow, but sluggish. heavy like syrup. The tunnel walls are damp with moss, soft in places. "Don't lean," Quiet says. It remembers what it was. You nod. You understand now. The sewer isn't just built, it's alive. You press deeper into the Ile de la Cité tunnels, and the shape of the sewer begins to feel more like a throat. The walls contract, the ceiling lowers, and everything echoes differently. Less like sound and more like memory. Sour leads now. Lanterns swinging just above the waterline, casting shapes that twist like arms along the walls. You follow closely, stepping where he steps, careful not to brush the slimy bricks. Your foot slips once, and your boot sinks deeper than it should. You yank it free and feel something give under the surface, a crackle like breaking bells. You don't look down. Quiet says, "Don't check what you've crushed. It's better." So you don't. You keep your eyes ahead, even as the water ripples behind you like something following just out of view. The work here is tedious, less about blockages, more about surveillance. You're checking for cracks, for signs of tunnel sag, for fresh leaks. You make chalk marks as you go, circling new wet spots and sketching crude arrows toward broken joints. You feel like a doctor diagnosing a body already too far gone. At one wall you find a cluster of mushrooms. They bloom in a ring, white and bulbous, pulsing faintly in the lamp glow. Sour spits. "Tells you the wall's soft," he mutters, "and that there's something dead nearby." You don't ask how he knows. You just nod. You move on. The water deepens again, now brushing your thighs. The chill creeps up with it, settling in your hips like a curse. You start to limp. No one says anything. Down here, pain is assumed. Sometime later, maybe an hour, maybe more, you reach a domed chamber with 2 tunnels leading off it. One is dry, the other flooded to the waist. You're sent into the flooded one, alone, with a rod and a lantern. "It's just a short check," Sour says. "See if the grate's blocked." You nod, gripping the rod tighter than you mean to. The water here is thick, unmoving. Your steps sound muffled. Your breath echoes. You keep the lantern high, watching the ceiling drip at random intervals. A chunk of something bobs past your leg. You don't inspect it. The grate is just ahead, barely visible beneath a sheet of tangled hair and paper. You jab at it with the rod. It resists. You lean in, working the tool through the mess, pulling free strand after strand. It loosens. The water stirs, and then it surges. Not violently, just suddenly. Like the sewer has decided to exhale. The flow pushes past your knees, strong enough to make you stumble. You grab the grate, steady yourself, breathe through your nose. Bad idea. The smell is ripe, something bloated, ruptured, recent. You gag once, then force it down. The grate clears more, and the flow increases. The water carries away the debris, spinning it down the tunnel behind you. You don't watch it go. You back away, retracing your steps, every muscle tight. When you reach the chamber again, Sour is gone. Quiet stands alone, staring at the dry tunnel. He doesn't speak. You both wait. 5 minutes. 10. Then Sour reappears from the shadows, chewing. "Took a wrong bend," he mutters. "Tunnel looped on itself." You don't ask what he saw. The day ends earlier than usual. The foreman calls the shift short because a pipe cracked near the tannery, and the fumes are too thick to risk. You surface with the others and breathe in the wet afternoon like it's champagne. The air still stinks of river and coal, but it feels like mercy. You sit on the curb for a long time, letting the breeze dry your sleeves. A woman walks by, pulling her shawl tighter as she passes. She doesn't look at you. You see her skirt lift slightly as she speeds up. You realise the smell is still clinging to you. Probably always will. Tamba lights a cigarette and hands you one. You try it. It burns, but it distracts. You cough. He laughs. "You'll get the hang of it," he says. The cough means it's working. That evening your body feels looser. Not less sore, just resigned. You eat with the others, drink something that might be beer, and lay your head down on the cot without thinking. You don't dream of tunnels tonight. You dream of staircases, endless, spiralling, clean, but you never reach the top. Every turn just leads to another landing, and the walls close in a little more each time. You wake sweating. It's not yet dawn. You sit up, drink from a cracked mug, and stare at your boots. They haven't dried. They never really do. You sigh, stand, pull on your coat, your shoulder cracks. Downstairs, someone's already stirring porridge over a fire. The smell is better than the taste. You eat fast. The street is quiet as you walk toward the shaft. Another shift, another plunge into the dark. You reach the entrance near Pont au Change just as the foreman unbolts the rusted gate. Today he doesn't grunt, just nods and hands you the night crew tag. It's a small dented token with a number scratched into it. You turn it over in your palm. Night shift, the one nobody wants. Fewer men, longer hours, no light. The others glance at you, but no one says anything. You're new enough to still be tested, old enough now that they expect you not to flinch. Tambor walks past, slapping your back. "Careful what you see down there," he says. "The dark's thicker after midnight. You start thinking you're not alone." He's not joking. You wait while Quiet collects a bundle of fresh wick, then descend after him into the deeper chambers, those few souls call the Black Miles. Night in the tunnels feels different from day. The darkness has weight now. The lamps sputter more often, shadows stretch further. Every sound is louder, closer. You hear drips echo from 3 directions. You step slower, trying not to splash. There's no schedule tonight, just a list of sections to check and clean. You're assigned to the Black Seine, a stretch of slow-moving runoff that snakes beneath the wealthier arrondissements. You've never been that far down before. The tunnel is wider, the water higher, waist-deep and crawling. Your boots drag, your knees lock. Every footstep feels like moving through syrup. Quiet leads. You sub follow. Naivine or... Neither of you speaks. There's no point. The tunnel eats words, swallows them whole. You reach the first blockage, a pile of soaked rags and wood wedged under a low arch. You kneel, brace and start to pull. Your gloves are too thin. Every tug rips more of the weave. The rags resist like muscle. You pull anyway. The water shifts. Something unseen bobs past. A bird, maybe. Or what used to be one. The arch above you weeps moisture in slow, steady drops that tap the crown of your head. You try not to imagine what seeps through that stone. After a minute, the clog breaks loose and the water lurches forward. It knocks you off balance. Quiet grabs your arm and hauls you upright. You grunt thanks. He nods. The current's stronger now, pulling the rot downstream. "It'll make the ballroom stink tomorrow," he says. You blink. He points up. "Dance hall above us. Tuesdays and Saturdays. They never know we're here." You stare at the ceiling. You hear nothing, but you believe him. Hours pass, though there's no way to track them. You move section by section, clearing grates, logging cracks in the wall with chalk. You stop only when a pocket of gas ignites from a careless lamp spark. It doesn't explode, just flares blue, lighting the tunnel for a heartbeat. Enough to see your own face reflected in the water. You barely recognise it. You crouch low, hand over your mouth, and wait for the gas to settle. Quiet swears under his breath. It's the first emotion you've heard from him. You both sit for a while, not talking. You stare at the bricks. Some have marks etched into them, letters, maybe numbers, or symbols, a language only the sewer speaks. You trace one with your glove. It feels warmer than the rest. You say nothing. You move on. Later, you pause near a bend and hear a sound. Scraping. Not metal, not stone, something else. Cloth, nails. You hold your breath. Quiet hears it too. He lifts the lantern and peers ahead. Nothing. Then something moves. A rat, but large. It scurries along the edge of the tunnel, dragging something behind it. You can't see what. You both wait until it's gone. "They nest here," Quiet says, "near the warm pipes, got teeth like shears." He rolls up his sleeve to show a scar. Wide, pale, jagged. "Thought it was dead, it wasn't." You nod. You tighten your coat and shift your grip on the rod. From then on you walk with it raised, ready. You never see the rat again, but you hear them. Always just ahead, just behind, always where your lantern can't reach. Near the end of the shift, you're sent to inspect the chamber under Rue Montorgueil. It's an old section, rarely touched. The water level's low here, but the walls are slick with mould. The chamber domes upward into blackness. Your lantern barely touches the curve. The air is stale, still. You shine your light across the floor and stop. A rose floats in the water. Pale pink, intact. Its petals unfurl as it spins slowly in place. You stare. Quiet does too. Where'd that come from, you ask? He doesn't answer, just steps around it carefully. You do the same. Neither of you touches it. The current doesn't carry it away, it just spins. You leave the chamber without a word, but you feel it behind you, still turning. A thing too clean for this place, too bright. And that makes it worse. The final assignment of the night takes you to a junction just below the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Denis. It's a confluence point, where several smaller channels meet the wider drains. You're told it needs unclogging. What they don't tell you is that it sits directly beneath a ballroom. You learn this only by the sound. At first you think it's hallucination. Music. Faint, warbled by the stone, but unmistakably music. Strings, maybe a piano. Laughter. Shoes on polished floors. The echo trickles down like champagne through cracks in the marble. You stand frozen, waist deep in sewer water, holding a hooked rod in one hand and a lantern in the other. Above you, someone is dancing. Below you, everything rots. Quiet mutters, "I like it better when we don't hear them." You don't ask why. You already know. You approach the clog. It's bad. Tangled cloth, bones, a bent spoon, and what looks like half a parasol. Someone tossed a whole life down here. You jab at the mess with the hook. It shifts slightly, then holds. You press harder. The mass resists. Then all at once it bursts free with a foul suck, and the current surges. Black water rushes forward, slapping your chest. You nearly lose your footing. Quiet grabs your collar. You both lurch backward. Behind you the water carries away what was once stuck. Bits of cloth swirl past like flags from a battlefield. The ballroom music continues above, oblivious. You stand, dripping, and listen to the contrast. The laughter up there sounds cruel. Or maybe it's just too clean. The kind of joy that doesn't belong in a world with tunnels like this. After the clog clears, you follow the runoff downstream to make sure it's flowing. You pass under low arches, slipping through waist-high currents, your lantern dimming with every step. It's nearly out of oil. You shake it gently, it flickers. You wonder what happens when it dies. The dark down here is different, total, permanent. You step into a chamber where the water slows. Something catches on your boot. You lift it. A glove, delicate, embroidered. You turn it over. The initials CL stitched in pale blue. You hold it up. Quiet stares at it. "Leave it," he says. "It'll bring dreams." You drop it. The glove floats away, pale as a moth. You watch it drift until the dark takes it. Somewhere in the distance a pipe groans like it's trying to speak. The shift ends with silence. No more tasks, no instructions, just a nod from Quiet, and you start the walk back. The route is longer, detoured by a pipe collapse near Rue Quincampoix. You take a narrow side path, barely wide enough for one man. The air here is wrong, too warm, too still. You walk quickly, breathing through your sleeve. When you reach the base of the shaft, the ladder is slick with mould. You climb slowly, every rung a decision. At the top, you push open the grate and emerge onto the street. Dawn hasn't come yet. The sky is dark slate, the gaslight still lit. You blink, trying to remember colour. Your skin is damp, your boots slop. A stray dog sniffs at you, then backs away. You sit on the curb and try not to fall asleep sitting up. The sun rises behind thick fog, casting pale shadows along the street. You head home through alleys, avoiding the busier routes. You pass a cafe just opening for the day. Clean aprons, fresh bread, glass windows that don't sweat. A man steps out, sees you, and steps back in. You catch your reflection in the window. You look like something the Seine rejected. Your coat sags, your eyes are hollow. You turn away. On your walk back, you pass the same boy from days before. He doesn't run this time, just stares. You nod. He blinks. Then he's gone. At the tenement, someone has vomited in the stairwell. You step over it without noticing. Inside, the room smells of sweat, onions, damp socks. You strip, collapse onto the cot. Your hands are shaking. You don't sleep, not right away. When rest comes, it drops you like a stone. You dream of drains, of roses blooming from cracked brick, of water that speaks in a language made of breath. You walk tunnels that bend in impossible ways, circles that don't close, doors that never open. A man stands at the end of one corridor. You can't reach him. He turns. He has your face. You wake, gasping. The light in the room has shifted. Late afternoon. Your boots are dry. You don't trust them. You sit for a while, breathing, stretching your fingers like they belong to someone else. Then you rise, shake out your coat, and leave. The sewer calls again. Not with words, not with force, just with silence. And you answer, because someone has to. The next night you report early. Not out of eagerness, just to see the faces of the others. There's something comforting about the nods, the same grunts, the same tired slaps on the back. Sour hands you a scrap of bread. It's hard enough to chip a tooth. You chew it anyway. The foreman marks you for the mid-city route. You're paired with a young man, newer than you. His name is Jules. He looks fresh. Too fresh. His coat still fits properly. His boots haven't cracked. You don't speak to him much as you descend. He talks enough for both of you, chattering about his old job at the stables, about a sister who makes soap, about how the sewer work is just temporary. You nod when required. But inside you already know, nothing down here is temporary. Not really. Jules nearly slips on the first turn, catching himself with a yelp. You don't laugh, you just keep walking. The air in this section smells like burned sugar. Probably runoff from a candy maker. Turns your stomach. Jules gags. You give him your sleeve to wipe his mouth. He thanks you. You move through a narrow corridor with spider cracks in the walls. You tap them lightly with the rod. Hollow. You mark it with chalk. Jules watches. That bad? He asks. You shrug. If it caves, it won't be our problem anymore. He laughs, but it's thin. The tunnel veers sharply and the water deepens. He hesitates. You go first. The water creeps up your chest. It's warm here, which is worse. It means the pipe above is leaking. Warmth down here never means comfort. Farther in, you pass a side tunnel where steam bellows out in slow bursts. The sound is like a train hissing over and over. Jules stops to watch it. You don't. You know better. You point to the stains on the ceiling, brown, rust-coloured, streaked. Gas comes with steam, you say. Don't breathe too deep. He nods, holds his sleeve over his nose. You reach a bend where the runoff stalls behind a collapsed crate. It's your job to clear it. You kneel, grip the edge, and begin to tug. Jules watches. You feel the wood splinter, feel your gloves snag on nails. The crate shifts and something spills out. Books, soggy, unreadable, but books. Pages swirl away in the water like leaves. Jules tries to grab one. Don't, you say. It's not ours. He lets go. The words are gone anyway. The next stretch is lower, older. Brick gives way to stone. The ceiling drips more now. Not from above, but from the walls themselves. The city is sweating. Jules hums a song softly, then stops. Do you hear that? He asks. You listen. Nothing. Then yes. Breathing. Slow. Rhythmic. Not yours, not his. It echoes from a side shaft, almost musical. You motion for silence. You both step carefully. You shine your lantern down the shaft. Empty. But the sound continues. You can't tell where it starts. You step back. "It's just air, sir," you say. Jules looks doubtful, but he says nothing. Later, when you look over your shoulder, you swear you see a ripple in the water, like someone just stepped away. You make your final inspection at the edge of the Champs-Élysées branch, where old drainage meets new construction. The tunnel narrows into a chute, and the current speeds up. Jules stands back while you wedge in, scraping muck from a rusted valve. It creaks, the flow slows. You adjust it carefully. Too fast and you'll back it up. Too slow and you'll flood the street above. You steady the rod, feel the pressure shift beneath your feet. Then you lock it. Jules exhales. "How do you know how to do that?" You shrug. You feel it. Feel what? When something's about to break. He doesn't answer, just stares down the tunnel toward where the water disappears. You both stand in silence, counting the seconds. When nothing bursts, you move on. You reach the base of the exit shaft just before the lamps run dry. Jules is quiet now. His face has changed. Paler. He won't say it, but you know he's tasted the truth. This isn't a job. It's a place you enter and leave differently. The ladder is slick. You both climb slowly. Above, the air is thick with morning fog. The city is waking up. You hear clatter from bakeries, wheels on cobblestone, shouts from vendors. Jules stands beside you, dripping. His coat is torn at the sleeve. You nod at him once, then walk on. At the end of the alley, you glance back. He's still standing there, watching the grate, as if it might speak, as if it might call him back. You hope he doesn't answer. You're not sure you can stop him. You return home sore in places you didn't know could ache. Not the sharp pain of injury, but the dull throb of slow erosion. You strip in the stairwell to keep the stink out of the room. The others are already asleep. You eat half a crust and lie down, boots beside the bed, socks on the floor like wilted flags. You drift off quickly, but the sleep is shallow. In your dreams, you're not underground. You're beneath a table in some fine Paris salon, watching silk shoes pass by. No one knows you're there. The laughter sounds like rushing water. The walls start to crack. Someone pours champagne into a drain. The bubbles rise in reverse. You wake up coughing, ribs tight. Outside, the sky is dark again. Another shift waits. Tonight they send you to the outer edge of the network, near the city wall. These tunnels are less maintained. Narrower. Older. They say no one's gone that way since last year. A partial collapse blocked off half the route. You go anyway, you and Quiet, no one else volunteers. The foreman shrugs. Mark what's still standing. Don't fix anything. Just don't get buried. You nod. The descent is steep, the brickwork rougher, jagged in places. The tunnel leans to one side like the whole thing wants to fall over. The water here is thinner. Trickling, more whisper than flow. You walk single file, passing stones that look more natural than laid. You realise this was never meant to be a tunnel, just a space between things. You shine your lamp ahead and see nothing but more dark. You reach a chamber filled with roots, thick, ropey things that burst through the walls like veins. Some pulse slightly in the breeze. The air is cooler here, but not fresh. It smells like decay that never finished its job. You and Quiet clear a path by snapping off smaller branches. The roots are damp, sticky. One of them bleeds sap when cut. Chestnut tree, he says, or used to be. You ask if that means you're near the surface. He shakes his head. Immersive, the tree found us. Even the plants are tired of the light. You move on. At a corner, you spot a tin cup wedged between bricks. You pull it free. Inside, a coin, a rusted pin and a folded scrap of cloth. You hand it to Quiet. He tucks it into his coat without comment. You find offerings in old places, he says. No one takes them. We just carry them somewhere new. Farther in, the tunnel splits. One side collapsed completely. The other is passable, barely. You duck through, scraping your shoulder on stone. The light flickers. Your wick is low. You swap it quickly, the flame sputtering before catching again. Quiet checks the wall, runs his fingers along the cracks. This will fall soon, he says. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next winter. You mark it anyway, even though no one will come fix it. You find old markings here, chalk that's half faded, soot symbols scratched into the walls, a triangle, a spiral, a name, Jean, 1829. You wonder if Jean made it back. Quiet kneels beside a fissure and places a small stone inside. You ask why. To remind it we were here, he says. It's not for us, it's for the stone. You work until your muscles blur into a single ache. When the foreman's whistle echoes faintly through the shaft, it feels like a mercy. You walk back slowly, lantern low, feet dragging. The tunnel breathes behind you. Softly, patiently, you reach the base of the shaft and climb out into early morning. The air bites harder here. The fog is thinner. The world feels flatter. You see your breath, you smell yourself, you scrape your boots against the curb, but the filth clings. A baker nearby tosses out burnt loaves. You consider asking for one, then decide against it. You're not the kind of hungry that bread solves. You walk home, head down. A man bumps into you, then stares. You keep walking. Your boots leave dark prints behind. Back in the room, Jules is awake. He says nothing at her first, just watches you take off your coat. Then he asks, "Do you think it ever ends?" You shake your head. "Not for us." He nods slowly. "I thought maybe I could save enough. Open a stall. Do something clean." You don't answer. You sit, remove your boots, rub your ankles. The skin there is soft now, almost white. Jules lies down again. "Sometimes I still smell it, even after scrubbing, even in dreams." You nod. That's how you know it's working. He laughs once, then turns to the wall. You close your eyes. The tunnel doesn't come to you tonight. You find yourself in a garden instead, but the soil is wet. The flowers all grow downward. You wake with dirt under your nails. Your last shift of the week begins with a cough that won't leave your chest. It's dry at first, then not. You spit into the gutter and see a streak of red. You wipe your mouth, keep walking. The others don't comment. Tambour glances at you once, then hands you a cloth for your neck. "Keep it warm," he says. "The wet gets into the bones through the collar." You thank him and descend once more. This time you're marked for central rotation. That means less hauling, more walking. You pass through stretches of tunnel you've memorized. The wall with the red clay, the bend that always drips, the brick that looks like a sleeping face. It's strange to know this place better than your own street. Stranger still to feel safer here than above. Your path crosses with quiet and sour near a junction by the Seine branch. They are clearing trash from a basin grate, a pile of things that looks like the aftermath of a bad party. Bottles, shoes, a velvet glove, you help them pull it apart. The smell is worse here, like perfume turned sour. "Someone dumped a parlour's worth of refuse down the rain spout," Sour says. "City stinks of civility." You laugh, which makes you cough again. This time they notice. Quiet hands you a flask. You sip. It's strong, brings tears to your eyes. "Burns the rot out," he says. You nod, grateful. You keep working, slower now. Your back twinges with every bend. You hear music again, faintly. Not from a ballroom this time, just the tunnel playing tricks. But you hum along. The others don't comment. At one bend you stop. The wall here has changed. The mortar crumbles under your fingers. The chalk marks from last week are gone, washed away or worn. You press your hand flat against the brick and feel it throb. Not shake, throb. Like something alive. You pull away quickly. Quiet watches you. "It remembers us," he says. "That's all. Stone listens better than people do them." You scrape a new mark wide and deep, a warning for the next man. If there is a next man. You wonder how many tunnels exist now only on paper. How many no one's entered in years. Some say whole stretches have closed themselves off. You believe it. You've seen arches that seem to blink when your lantern passes. You've seen gaps open where there weren't any before. The sewer shifts, like lungs or tides. You take your meal at the edge of a runoff vent. The air moves here, faint and cold. You eat bread soaked in broth, saved from the tenement. You chew slowly, taste rust. Your hands are shaking again. The flask helps. Tambor joins you briefly, says nothing, just sits. When he leaves, he drops something beside you, a spool of twine. Tie it to your belt, he says. If the light goes out, follow the line. If the line stops, don't go further. You nod. He disappears into the tunnel. You tie the twine to your coat. The knot feels final, like a pact. You stare into the dark and imagine following the line through places you haven't seen. Past water that whispers, past stones that remember your weight. You finish your meal, wipe your hands, stand. The final leg of the night takes you to an overflow drain that empties near the Jardin des Plantes. The tunnel widens there, allowing sunlight in through a metal grate. If it's morning. If the weather cooperates. Tonight, it's black. You walk slowly, alone now. The water runs higher. A storm must be coming. You brace yourself against the flow, feeling the current test your balance. At one point, a rush pulls your lantern sideways. You catch it just in time. The flame flickers, steadies. You keep going. On the far wall, someone has drawn a face, not chalk, something thicker. You can't tell what. The features are crude, but the eyes are exact. You shine your lamp on it, and for a moment, it seems to blink. You back away, mark the wall, keep walking. Some drawings aren't meant for daylight. You reach the end of the tunnel just as the bell above tolls 5. You climb out near the Seine, the river slick and silent in the dark. The sky is the same colour as the water, grey-black. You walk along the bank, boots heavy, lungs tight, your coat flaps in the wind. You pass a couple walking arm in arm. They cross to the other side of the street. You don't blame them. You wouldn't want to catch what you carry either. At the tenement, Jules is gone. A note on the cot says he found work at the slaughterhouse. You stare at it a while, then burn it in the stove, not in anger, just to keep the warmth in the room a little longer. You lie down, eyes open, and listen to the pipes above gurgle. They speak a language you're starting to understand. Dawn creeps over Paris like a slow leak, dripping grey light into corners that weren't ready for it. Your shift is over. You should sleep, but instead you walk. Past the bakeries and the barrows, the ragmen, and the milk carts. You blend in with the grime, a part of the street's background noise. The bells toll 6, and you count them without meaning to. Every ring settles deeper into your ribs. At the Pont Marie crossing, you pause. Watch the water slide beneath the stone arches. The Seine always looks calm from above. People think it's clean now. They don't know what swells just beneath the surface. You do. You've touched it. Walked through it. Let it press against your spine. It's not just water. It's everything Paris wants to forget. And you're one of the few who remembers. When you finally sleep, it's deep and dreamless. Your body goes slack, your mouth hangs open. You wake hours later in a fog of sweat and sore joints. Outside, the city moves. Inside, the air sits heavy. You stare at the ceiling, tracing the stains with your eyes. Each one a shape. A tunnel, a crack, a spill. You sit up, cough once, then dress. No shift tonight, but the habit holds. Your boots go on like reflex. At the door you pause, reach for the oil tin. You polish your lamp, even though you're not going down. You check the wick. The flint. You hang it anyway, by the door, ready, always ready. You make tea, barely. Just boiled water with bark. It burns your throat. You drink it all, it doesn't help, but it's something. Later, you visit the records office near Hotel de Ville. No one expects you there. You walk in covered in the scent of old drains, and the clerks make space without asking. You ask for maps, sewer lines, old ones. The man behind the counter raises an eyebrow, then shrugs and brings you a stack of folded parchment and charcoal tracings. You sit with them at a side table. Most are faded, smeared, useless. But you study them anyway. Your fingers run along routes you've walked. Names you've heard whispered. Rat's Eye, the Spiral, Saint's Gate. One path is marked with nothing but a circle and the words, Abandoned, 1818. You stare at it. It runs beneath the Latin Quarter. You've never been that way. No one has, not in years. Your finger lingers on the line, then you fold the map and take it. Back at the tenement you pack slowly. Rope, flint, extra wick, bread. You tuck the map into your coat close to your ribs. The others don't notice, or if they do, they say nothing. You walk to the entry shaft at Saint Michel and descend. No assignment, no crew, just you and the tunnel. The air is stale. The bricks are older here, more jagged, uneven. You pass through 3 chambers before you reach the point marked on the map, a sealed arch, half collapsed. You clear the loose stone with care. Behind it, a tunnel, dry, cold, silent. You step inside, the light fades behind you. You strike your flint and relight the lamp. The wick catches, the flame steadies. You move forward, every step stirring dust that hasn't breathed in decades. The silence is louder here, heavier. You walk for what feels like hours. The tunnel narrows, then widens again into a space shaped like a cathedral crypt. Arched ceiling, ribbed walls, water pooled at the base. The floor is soft, mud and ash. You kneel, touch it. The dirt comes away grey, you stand. On one wall names, hundreds. Scratched in soot, chalk, ink, some are fresh, most aren't. Alain, 1823. Laurette, 1817. B, just B. No dates, just marks. You run your hand across them. They flake slightly, but hold. Above, the arch is cracked, a jagged seam running through it like a scar. You mark it without thinking. No one will come fix it, but it matters that someone saw it. You sit, breathe. The silence here isn't threatening, it's waiting, listening. You whisper your name just once, and the chamber doesn't echo, it just holds it. When you return to the surface, it's nearly night again. The sky burns orange at the edges, fading into ash. You walk slowly, boots heavy with clay. No one looks twice. At the tenement, someone has taken Jules's cot. A new man. Too clean. You nod once. He doesn't respond. That's fine. You lie down on your own cot, listening to the creak of boards and the murmur of distant boots. Your lamp hangs by the door, still full. You'll need it again soon, but not yet. You close your eyes, and for the first time in weeks, the dark feels empty, not threatening, not cruel, just still. You sleep. And somewhere below, the tunnel shifts, just a little, like it's settling into place, or making room. The next morning begins slow the way all endings do. There's no knock, no whistle, no foreman grunting your name, but still you wake. Your body knows before your mind does. The ache in your shoulders, the way your knees creak when you move, the damp taste in your mouth that never goes away. You sit up, the cot is colder than usual. You stretch, feel your ribs pop one by one. Someone left bread on the table, stale but enough. You chew slowly, listening to the street noises outside. A cart rattles past. A woman shouts something in a dialect you don't know. Life above moves on, with or without you. You lace your boots. They are dry but cracked. The soles flap a little when you walk. Still good enough. You pick up your coat. The weight feels familiar. At the shaft entrance, the new man hesitates. You recognise the look. He's not sure if he'll come back. None of us are. You nod once, not unkindly, then move past him. The ladder is slick today, rainwater from last night's storm. You descend slowly, boots squealing on the rungs. Below, the air is thick, not with rot, but with silence. No team call-outs, no echo of boots. You're early, or alone, doesn't matter. You walk the main line past the Rue Réaumur junction, then turn toward a known flood zone near Temple. The water has risen 2 bricks high. The runoff gurgles underfoot. You pass a wall where someone etched a poem, 4 lines, barely legible. Something about silence and stone and staying where the light won't find you. You nod once, you understand, you press on. Your job is simple today. Inspection. Chalk, rod, lantern. You move methodically. Mark the drips, measure the gas with a copper wick, check the brick joins. At one bend, the wall pulses from moisture. A fresh leak. You notch it, then carve a deeper line next to it. You don't know why. Maybe just to say, this one matters. In a side tunnel near Saint-Martin, you find a grate half blocked by debris. You kneel, begin to pull it apart. There's hair, of course, always is. Strips of linen, a doll's limb, broken wood. You tug. The mess shifts. A rush of water follows. You stumble back, boots slipping on moss. The lantern sways wildly, then steadies. You breathe hard, the water clears. The tunnel groans once, then goes still. You sit for a while after that, just to be still too. When you stand again, you feel it. Worse than fatigue. A weight behind your ribs. Your breath is thinner. You light another wick. Push on. You return to the junction and take the long path past the old tannery lines. The stench here is worse than usual. Rawhide and rust. You wrap your scarf tighter. The tunnel opens into a wider space where a cistern has overflowed. You step carefully along the ledge. At the centre, something bobs. Wood? No. A chair. Just a chair. Waterlogged, rotted, spinning slowly. Someone tossed it down a drain, or maybe it fell. You keep walking. Around the bend you see Tambour. He's sitting on a crate, smoking. "Didn't hear you," he says. You shrug. "Didn't make a sound." He offers the cigarette. You shake your head. You're already full of smoke. You sit with him anyway. The two of you say nothing for a while, just stare at the trickling stream. Tambour taps ash into the water. "They're building new lines," he says. "Big ones, near Montparnasse. Vaulted ceilings, proper airflow, like cathedrals." You raise an eyebrow. "Still carrying shit, though." He chuckles. "Still, but it'll smell cleaner." You both know that's a lie. But it's a nice one. He stands, stretches, then nods towards the junction. "They'll need markers for the new pipes. Thought you'd want to carve one in." You follow him back. Near the wall, a line of clean brick waits. You take your chalk and write slow, careful letters. Not your name, just your number. The same one on your shift token. Tambour adds his beside it. "So they know we were here," he says. "Even if they forget our faces." You leave the tunnels early that day. The air above feels sharp, like biting into a green apple. The city is loud, too loud. You stop by the river and sit on the edge of a stone bench. The Seine looks grey, smells familiar. You close your eyes, let the sounds pass through you, bells, hooves, metal wheels, laughter, coughs, all of it drifting. You think about the old sections, the ones you've never seen, the places marked lost on old maps. You wonder if they're really empty, or just waiting. When you stand, your knees crack. You walk home slowly. No rush. Nothing chases you. Not today. The sky is still light. Somewhere church bells ring for evening mass. You count the tolls. Each one lands softer than the last. When you reach your door, you pause, then open it. Inside, the room is warm from the sun still caught between the bricks. You take off your coat, hang it on the same nail as always. The others are gone. Work, or drink, or both. You sit on the edge of your cot and pull off your boots. They sigh as they come free. Your feet are swollen, skin raw at the heel. You don't care. You lean back, stare at the ceiling. The same stain that's always been there still hangs like a crooked star. You watch it for a while, try not to think, but your fingers twitch, your ears ring with the sound of dripping water. You rub your palm across your chest. The cough comes back, quiet but sharp. You spit into a cloth. It's pink, maybe red. You fold the cloth, place it on the floor. Then you lie back again and close your eyes. That night you dream of a man walking alone through a dry tunnel. No water, just dust. His lamp has gone out, but he keeps walking. The walls are smooth, almost polished. He doesn't stumble. He doesn't stop. You can't see his face, but you know it's you, or what you'll become. You wake before dawn. The room is dark, your throat burns. You reach out for the tin cup near the cot and drink what's left. It tastes of iron. The city hasn't stirred yet. You get dressed in silence. The boots go on slower this time. Every lace feels heavier. You check your pockets. Rod, chalk, wick. You still have the map. It's worn soft now, folded too many times. You trace a new path on it. Not one you've taken. One no one has. You leave before the sun breaks the rooftops. The air outside is thin, not cold, just absent. You head to the old entrance near the Goblin's Dye Works. It's been bricked off for years, but there's a second shaft, rusted and half hidden by ivy. You find it. Clear the vines, lift the grate. It groans like something waking up. You lower yourself down rung by rung. The bricks are older here, crumbling, the ladder's coated in slime. But your hands know the grip, your feet find the rhythm, you reach the bottom. The tunnel yawns ahead, dry for you now. You light the lamp. It flares orange, then steadies. The walls are narrower than usual. The air feels pressed in. You walk, slowly, deliberately. The dust kicks up around your boots. No sound follows you. Even the sewer rats have left this place alone. You move through the forgotten route like you're slipping between ribs. The air grows warmer, then cooler, then warm again. Your breath echoes strangely, faster than it should. The tunnel bends, then splits. You take the left branch, it drops slightly, sloping towards something unseen. The water begins again, thin at first, then ankle deep. It moves sluggishly, with a kind of memory. You mark the wall with chalk. The mark smears. The stone here is damp with something you don't name. You keep going. The tunnel opens into a space that feels too wide to be real. Your lamp barely touches the walls, but you see shapes. Arches, pipes, columns. Old ones, maybe Roman, maybe older. The floor is uneven. Something crunches underfoot. You don't look down, you just keep moving, until the silence feels alive. At the far wall a ladder rises. Iron, ancient, bolted to stone. You climb. It groans, but holds. At the top, a hatch. You push. It resists. You brace your back and push harder. It opens an inch, then two. Then light pours in, soft, golden, dusty. You lift your head through the gap. You're in a cellar. Stone walls, old barrels, shelves covered in cobwebs. You pull yourself up, stand, listen. Nothing. Then footsteps above, slow, measured. You crouch, step toward the shadows. The footsteps pass, fade. You find a stairwell, climb it carefully. At the top, a door, or you press your ear to it. A muffled voice, a violin. Laughter. You smile, not bitter, just tired. You turn back, descend again. The cellar still smells like damp history. You lower yourself into the tunnel and close the hatch behind you. Gently, as if not to wake the floor. You walk back slowly. The lamp burns low, but it's enough. You don't retrace every step. You take turns you didn't mark. Pass through junctions you didn't notice before. At one bend, you find a glove tucked into a crack in the wall. Familiar, pale blue stitching. You pass it without touching. You pass an old lantern, long extinguished. A rusted rod bent at the neck. You walk past it all. At some point, you stop. Not because you're lost, but because you're where you are always going. A chamber, round, high-vaulted, empty. The brick here is clean, untouched. You sit, rest your back against the wall, set the lamp beside you. Watch it flicker. The flame dances, then dims, then dies. And for the first time since you took the job, you feel lightness. The darkness in this chamber doesn't scare you. It's not like the darkness you knew on your first day, sharp, wet, clawing. This dark is still, deep, old. It doesn't chase, it waits. You sit for a while, counting your breath, listening to the slow movement of air through bricks. Somewhere above, a carriage rolls across cobblestones. The wheels creak. You can hear the whip crack. Then silence again. You run your fingers along the wall. It's smooth, cold. And under the soot, dry. You feel better here. Not well, just better. Oh. Like you've stopped resisting something. You close your eyes, let the damp settle into your coat. You feel the earth above pressing down, but gently now, not as weight, as comfort, like a blanket, like a roof. Eventually you stand, slowly. Your knees ache, but they hold. You light the wick again, the lamp flares, then steadies. You hold it high and scan the chamber once more. No bones, no old tools, no names scratched in. Just a room no one built but somehow exists. You wonder what it was meant for. You wonder if it was ever used. You mark it anyway, just a single line. Your last, maybe. You walk back the way you came, or close to it. The tunnels shift when you're not looking. Some bends open wider than before, some close behind you like breath being held. But you're not afraid of being lost. Not anymore. You know what to do when the light runs out. You know how to feel the walls, where to stop, where to listen. The air grows heavier as you move. The closer you get to the old junctions, the more the sewer remembers your steps. Familiar smells return, lard, vinegar, smoke, blood. You pass the chalk marks from earlier weeks, some faded, some crossed out, others overwritten. You add one more as you go just because. A small X on the left-hand brick at a fork near the market drain. You turn right. You always do. The right side dips toward a forgotten outlet. You used to dread this route. Now it feels like an old corridor in a crumbling house. Not quite home, but known. You reach the point where the flow picks up, pulling hard toward the Seine. You sit on the ledge and let your legs dangle. The water rushes below, dragging thread and feathers and dreams. You watch something float past. A piece of paper maybe, or cloth, too thin to matter. You lean back against the wall and close your eyes. You remember Jules, wonder where he is now, wonder if he still smells it when he sleeps. You remember Tambure's whistle, Quiet's flask, Sour's jokes. You remember the boot with no foot, the glove that floated in place. The rose, all of it part of the same long breath beneath the city. None of it random, not anymore. You think about the drain under the ballroom, the music that dripped down through the cracks, the way light feels wrong when it tries to follow you underground. You think about the first day, when you didn't know where to step, when you hesitated. You haven't hesitated in weeks. Eventually, you stand and make your way back toward the surface shaft. The ladder groans but holds. At the top, morning waits, grey again, cold again. You pull yourself up slowly. The street is wet. A thin drizzle falls. You sit on the edge of the curb and let the water bead on your coat. A child walks past holding her mother's hand. She looks at you, then doesn't. You wipe your nose with your sleeve. It comes away red again. You don't hide it. The mother pulls the child closer. You don't blame her. You never have. You stand, stretch, walk back toward the tenement. Your legs are slow now, the limp permanent. You reach the door, open it, climb the stairs. You hang your coat, polish your lampi or yithi. The others are sleeping. You lie down quietly. Let the ceiling come back into focus. Sleep is strange now. It comes and goes without warning. You drift in and out like tide water. Sometimes you dream of rising through the tunnels like a balloon. Sometimes you sink. Tonight, you hear footsteps, the ones that never reach you. You open your eyes to darkness and feel calm. You know where you are. You know what waits if you open the grate again. But you don't move. You just breathe. Slow, careful. One more breath, then another. Until the street noises fade and the only sound left is the one you've carried with you all along. The echo of your boots in water. The rasp of a chalk line on brick. The hush of a place the city forgot. But you never did. You're not scheduled to work today. Your name isn't on the list. But you go anyway. Not because anyone expects it. Not because you're needed. You just can't stay in the room any longer. The walls feel smaller. The cot harder. The noise above too loud. You walk to the shaft near the fish market. One of the older ones, with rusted hinges and a warped grate. You lift it slowly, carefully, and descend. The ladder weeps with dew. Below, the tunnel sighs at your return. It's as if it remembers you, or was waiting. You land with a soft splash, boots sinking half an inch into old muck. You light your lamp. The wick catches on the second strike. The flame steadies. You walk, no task, no direction. Just the pull of habit and something deeper, something quieter. You pass old chalk marks, some yours, some not. Names etched with knife points, circles, arrows. You don't follow them. You take new turns, unfamiliar ones. Let the tunnel guide you instead of the other way around. You find a section where the ceiling opens into brick ribs, a forgotten chamber shaped like a lung. Air moves strangely here, curling upward instead of across. You stop beneath the centre rib and breathe deep. The air smells like moss and rusted metal. Better than most days. You rest your palm on the wall. It feels warm, not like fire, like breath. You stay for a while, just standing, just being still. When you leave, you don't mark it. You don't want anyone else to find this place. It doesn't belong to the city. Not anymore. You turn left at a break in the pipe. The water runs faster here. The floor slopes down. You test each step before shifting your weight. One slip and the current could take you. You reach a wider channel lined with iron rings, half submerged in water. You've never seen this stretch. You're sure of it. But the feeling is familiar. Not déjà vu, just recognition. Like this tunnel was always waiting to be walked. You pass a grate broken open at its base. Something might have chewed through it. You don't stop to check, you move on. The air thickens, not with smell, with weight. Your breath shortens. You strike a second lamp, set it behind you. A breadcrumb of light. You walk forward slowly, carefully. Your shadow stretched into a giant ahead of you. You don't blink. Eventually you reach a curve so sharp it feels like the tunnel is turning back on itself. You pause. The silence here is perfect. No drip, no splash. You press your hand against the wall and feel nothing. Not warmth, not vibration. Just brick, just stone. You round the bend and find another chamber. Smaller, rounder, dry. A rusted ladder climbs up one side, ending in a sealed grate. You don't climb it. You just sit. You set your lamp down. Let the light bleed upward. The chamber smells like chalk and dust. The kind you find in forgotten rooms. You lean your head against the wall and close your eyes. You breathe in. Out. In again. No cough this time, just breath. The stillness doesn't press on you, it supports you, like being underwater without drowning. You think about the others, Tambio with his songs, quiet with his flasks, sour with his foul jokes. You wonder where they'll be 10 years from now, or if they'll still be underfoot carving paths through the rot like miners in a mine no one knows exists. You think about Jules, probably standing in a different kind of muck now. Maybe smelling something worse. Maybe thinking the air down here wasn't so bad after all. You wonder how long the tunnel will remember you after you're gone. Not your name, just the weight of your steps, the bend of your breath. You reach into your coat and pull out your old token, the shift tag. The number's worn down, but you can still make it out. You set it on the floor, tuck it under a stone, not for you, for whoever comes next. You stand, slowly, your knees crack. You pick up your lamp, check the oil, still enough. You walk back the way you came. Not exactly, no one ever walks the same tunnel twice. The path shifts, always has, but your hand knows the way. Your ear catches the familiar echoes. Your feet hesitate at just the right bends. You reach the iron rings, the water's higher now. You step with care. You pass the ribbed ceiling again. The air there still moves wrong. You smile. You reach the junction near Rue Mouffetard and take the left channel toward the main line. Light grows ahead. Dim, flickering, but there. Another crew. You hear a laugh. Tambour, maybe? Or someone like him. You don't call out. You don't need to. You've walked enough. You let the echoes greet you instead. You surface without fanfare. No one notices. No one should. You climb out onto a narrow street off Rue Geoffroy Saint-Hilaire. Boots sloshing, coat dripping. The sky's flat white, like it forgot how to colour itself. You sit on a crate by a boarded-up bakery and let the cold bite your face. For the first time in a long time, the smell clinging to you feels honest, like you've earned it. A horse-drawn cart rattles by. The driver lifts his scarf. You nod at him. He doesn't nod back. That's all right. You don't need approval anymore. You're not trying to escape what you've done, or who you've become. You're just part of it now. A brick, a valve, a name carved in coal above a manhole someone will never open. At home the room is empty. Someone's taken the cot beside yours. Their boots are too clean. You wash your hands in a basin full of grey water. The skin on your fingers is cracked in 4 places. You dry them on your coat. You don't bother changing. You eat a bit of bread and some tinned fish you forgot you had. It's sharp, salty, tastes like memory. You stare at the lamp. It's still hanging by the door. Its glass smudged, wick curled. You clean it slowly. Refill the oil. Check the flint. Then you do nothing. Just sit. You listen. Someone upstairs is arguing. A pan drops. A child laughs. You close your eyes and for a moment you're in the tunnel again. You feel more awake in the dark than you do here. Eventually someone knocks, not loud, just enough. You open the door to Tambor. His coat's worse than yours, his hat's gone. He smiles without showing teeth. Quiet's gone, he says. You nod. He doesn't explain, he doesn't need to. You step back to let him in. He doesn't sit, just stands there dripping on the floorboards. They'll need someone to mark the new catchment, he says. No one's seen the low vent yet, not even the engineers. You know what he's asking. You don't answer. You just reach for your boots. They're still damp. You lace them anyway. Tambor hands you a folded slip of paper. A crude map. Not official, just pencil and guesses. You take it, tuck it into your coat. He claps your shoulder, then leaves, like he was never there. You walk to the shaft alone. No one assigned you. No list posted. This isn't a shift. It's something else. The gate creaks open like it knows you. You descend without lighting the lamp. You count the rungs. 32, the same as always. You drop into the runoff with a small splash. The tunnel welcomes you like an old coat. Familiar, heavy. You walk without speaking, without planning. You pass a section where the wall gave way last spring. It's patched now. Your chalk mark is still there, half visible. You touch it as you pass. Further down, the air grows warm again. A steam pipe, or something older. You pass the place where you once found the rose. The water's clearer now. Nothing floats. The silence is thicker here. But not unkind. At the base of the catchment, you stop. The chamber is wide, new, but already worn. The city builds fast, but rot works faster. You kneel beside the main grate and scratch a mark into the stone. Just a simple circle. No line, no name, just presence. You stand again, lean your head against the wall. It's cold. You smile, then walk the perimeter. The echo in here is different, shorter, tighter, like the sound wants to stay close. You speak once, your name, just to hear it bounce back. It does, faintly, changed a little. You sit. Rest your arms on your knees, light the lamp, let it burn low. You stare at it until it fades to a glow, then nothing. You don't relight it, not this time. You make the climb back to the surface slower than before, not because of pain, because of weight. The kind you carry in your chest, not your coat. You reach the top and breathe in the light. It's late afternoon. The sun is low but golden, warm. It feels like something distant pressing gently on your skin. You walk back through the alleys without purpose. No one looks at you. No one smells what you've seen. You reach the Seine and lean against the stone rail. The water below flows quiet, steady, same current, same rhythm. But you see it now for what it is, both surface and sewer. One face clean, the other forgotten. You watch a boat pass. A child points at a pigeon. You watch it take off, you close your eyes just for a breath. You open your eyes to dusk. The sky has faded to lavender, and the first street lamps flicker to life. You start walking again, slower this time, letting the rhythm of the street guide your steps. You pass cafes setting out chairs for the evening crowd. You pass a woman lighting a lantern in a window, the glow soft and golden. You pass a young man singing badly, his voice cracked but confident. All of it floats around you like mist. You don't speak to anyone. You don't stop. You carry the tunnel with you, and though the street is dry, your boots still feel soaked. Your lungs still sting from the last flare of gas. The smell clings, not just to your coat, to your skin, to your thoughts. You wonder if that's how the city remembers, by what it cannot wash off. You return home, but don't stay. You pack your coat with care, chalk, wick, cloth, twine. You take the coin quiet once handed you. You slip it into your left boot. You leave your lamp behind, not because you don't need it, but because some places aren't meant to be lit. You walk to the shaft near the slaughterhouse, the one no one uses unless they have to. The grate sticks. You pry it open with a rod. Rust flaking like old snow, you lower yourself in. The first breath is always the hardest. The air hits like memory. Sweet rot. You descend into it, rung by rung, until the street is gone. You reach the bottom and turn left. Not because the map says so, because you've walked this far by feel long enough to know when it's time to follow something deeper. The tunnel bends into blackness, and you don't light a wick. You move by sound and slope. You count steps. You scrape your hand against the left wall. The moss is slick. The stone is grooved. You hear water ahead, slow, steady, waiting. You pass through a place where rats once swarmed. They don't anymore. Even vermin find other homes. You reach a junction where the air changes. It grows colder, sharper, like the city above is breathing through a crack in the bricks. You stop. Rest your fingers on the wall. There's a mark here. Deep. Deliberate. Someone's name, someone you knew. You can't make it out. Doesn't matter. You know the feeling. You whisper a name, not yours, just one of the many you've carried. Then you walk on. Let the stone take the memory. You arrive at the old reservoir, forgotten before it was finished. The ceiling is high, ribbed like the vaults of a church. The water here is black and flat, unmoving. You kneel, dip your hand in. It's cold. You pull it out, let it drip. Then you sit, back against a pillar. You listen. The city above creaks faintly. Somewhere a piano plays a note and stops. You imagine someone lighting a candle, laughing, forgetting. You stay still, not because you're tired, because there's nothing else to reach for. You've mapped the tunnels, marked the danger, cleared the clogs, burned the wicks. You've left bread on stones, coins in cracks, names on the walls no one will see. The job never ends, but tonight you're not working. You're remembering. You're settling. You're part of it now. You sleep. Not deeply, not long, but enough. When you wake, the water hasn't moved. Air feels warmer. You rise, stretch, and begin walking again. You don't know where the next turn leads. That's fine, you take it anyway. You pass a broken grate, a rusted pipe, a piece of blue cloth snagged on a brick. You leave it there. You follow a trickle that grows into a stream. It carries with it shavings of wood, onion skin, something pink and soft. You walk beside it step for step. You hear voices behind you once, or maybe ahead. You don't stop. The tunnel narrows again, and you duck, shoulders scraping the walls. You reach a junction you've never seen. No marks, no lines. Just a single stone in the centre of the path, standing upright. You kneel, touch it. It's warm. You mark the wall. Just one last time. No number, no letter, just a line, horizontal, like a horizon. You turn back, walk slowly, let the water find you, let the dark fold in. Somewhere behind, the stone stays. Somewhere ahead, the city breathes. You step lightly now, your feet know what the bricks remember. Your breath joins the rhythm of the pipes. Your shadow is gone. No need for it down here. You're enough. You're part of it. You reach the final bend. You stop. The tunnel is quiet. You lean your hand against the wall, close your eyes, and smile. Not because you're done, because you belong, because not everyone survives this place. But you did. For one day. And down here, that's everything. When you climb out for the last time, the city doesn't notice. The air smells the same, coal smoke, horse sweat, river rot. But it hits your face like a song half forgotten. You blink at the light, more orange than gold, and step onto the cobbles. A woman passing by mutters at the stink. A man pulls his scarf up higher. A boy points, then thinks better of it. You just walk. You don't wave, you don't explain. You've stopped carrying words for people who haven't walked where you've walked. At Rue des Écoles, you pause to look at the sky. Clouds stack like bricks above the rooftops, grey on grey. The bell at Saint-Jacques tolls once, then again. You count them as you walk, not hours, just echoes. You pass a shop window and catch your reflection. The coat sags more now, the eyes are deeper. But there's something else, stillness. The kind only found below the world, not peace, not rest, just stillness. You reach the tenement and climb the stairs. Inside, the air is warm with bread and old socks. Someone is laughing in the next room. You sit on the cot. It doesn't creak. You rest your hands on your knees. Look around. Nothing has changed. But everything feels distant. Your boots are leaking at the toe. You take them off, set them by the stove. You lie back and stare at the ceiling. The stain is still there. You smile. You close your eyes. You listen to the hum of water in the wall. Later you rise again. You polish your hands with vinegar and cloth. You scrape the dirt from under your nails. You cut your hair short, closer to the scalp. You brush your coat, sew the torn seam at the shoulder. You wrap your shift token in cloth, tie it with twine, and place it in the bottom drawer. You don't need it now. The lamp stays on the wall, but you refill the oil anyway. You open the shutters just a little and let the light in. The street sounds rise, shouting, metal clanging, boots scuffing. You watch pigeons circle the chimney pots. Somewhere someone plays a fiddle. The tune drifts. It's off-key but sincere. You don't move. You just listen. It's the first thing you've heard in days that doesn't echo. By evening, your fingers stop twitching. You pour hot water into a bowl and wash your face, and the steam opens your lungs. You cough once, sharply, but it fades. You eat slowly. Bread, onion, the last of the lard. You don't rush. You chew like it matters. Like it's the last thing holding you to the surface. You stare at the lamp again. Still hanging, still steady. But for once you don't reach for it. You leave it be. You crawl under the blanket and lie still. Not because you're tired, but because you're ready. For silence. For a night without footsteps or with dripping stone. Without the rasp of brick or the splash of something unseen. You let your body go quiet. You let your breath find its way back to something older than pain. That night, you dream of streets underwater. Not drowning, just submerged. The carts roll slow through black canals. The buildings lean as if listening to the weight below. The people walk like ghosts, soft-footed, faces smudged. You walk among them. No coat, no boots, just yourself. Light as mist. Someone offers you a lantern. You take it. Burns green. You walk on, and the bar on the water rises to your knees, to your chest. But it doesn't choke. It lifts. You drift upward through doorways that lead nowhere. You pass through arches into silence, then a room, round, familiar. The rose floats again, but this time it's burning. You touch it. Your hand doesn't hurt. You wake with your fingers curled like petals. The air smells faintly of rain. Morning comes with fog. You light the stove, pour the last of the water into a pot. You eat dry bread. You drink weak tea. You watch the light through the cracks. You don't go out. You don't go down. You sit. You breathe. Your bones settle. You think of the tunnels, not with dread and not with yearning, just with knowing. You know what the bricks sound like when they shift. You know what gas smells like just before the flare. You know how far to stretch when your back won't bend anymore. You know what silence weighs. And tonight, when the city sleeps, and the drains gurgle, and someone flushes the comfort of their dinner down a pipe, you'll be listening, not from below, From here. From stillness. From surface. The next evening you sit by the window and watch the city glow. Gas lamps flicker along the streets, lighting faces you don't recognise. You count the hats as they pass. Bowler, bonnet, brimmed and battered. The world above never changed much, just distracts better. You rest your hands on the sill and breathe in the air. It's thick with bread and coal, but without the edge of methane. You close your eyes and hear the sound of feet on cobblestone, the roll of a cart, the clink of a cafe glass. You hear nothing dripping, no pipes rattling behind the walls. And that silence, it startles you more than the tunnel ever did. You shift in your seat and press your palms together. The skin has softened slightly, the fingertips less raw. Still, they remember the shape of bricks. You walk the block once, just to feel the rhythm. You don't go far, just enough to stretch your legs. The street hums, a dog barks from a balcony. Someone throws out yesterday's bread for the birds. You nod at the woman sweeping her step. She doesn't nod back, but that's fine. You pass the alley behind the tannery and pause. The grate there is rusted over, sealed with cement years ago. You stare at it for a long moment. Then you kneel. Place your hand flat on the stone. It's cold, still, but not dead. You whisper a name, one of the ones no one else remembers. The bricks don't answer. They never did, but they listen. You stand again, dust off your knees, and keep walking. Your shadow stretches behind you in the lamplight. Familiar, light, yours again. That night you write a letter, not to anyone, just to write. You list every tunnel you remember, every mark you made. You draw the line from Rue de la Huchette to the fish market. You sketch the face carved in soot beneath the Palais Royal. You write down the sound of Tambio's laugh, the way Quiet clicked his teeth when thinking. You write Black Seine in block letters and underline it twice. You write about the rose, the child's boot, the grate under the ballroom floor. You write until your hand cramps and the paper is stained with oil from your fingertips. Then you fold it, set it under your cot. You don't plan to mail it. You just wanted proof that it happened, that someone was there, that you were. When you wake, the sun is already high. The city is louder. You wash, dress, and eat the last of the butter. You find your coat still damp at the hem. You leave it hanging. You don't need it today. Instead, you wear a clean shirt. Something without holes. You walk to the park near Jardin des Plantes, where the air smells of dirt and iron. You sit on a bench beneath a tree, and for the first time in weeks, you don't look down. You look up, at the branches, the light shifting through them. A boy kicks a ball nearby. A woman knits on the grass. A man reads a folded newspaper, frowning. No one here has been underground. You wonder how they'd handle it. You wonder how much they'd need to lose before they stopped seeing the sky as safety. The rest of the day passes like a slow current. You walk home, you wipe down your boots, you patch a tear in your trousers, you light a candle at dusk, not a lamp. The glow is softer, warmer. You eat in silence, then sit at the edge of your bed, turning the shift token over in your hand. It's smooth now, polished from worry. You think about dropping it down a drain, letting it fall back where it came from, but you don't. You place it in a jar with a handful of broken chalk nubs, a torn wick, and the coin Quiet gave you. You screw the lid on tight, set it on the shelf, let it rest, let it stay. You stretch out under the blanket and pull it tight around your shoulders, not to block the cold, just to feel weight. Before sleep, you think about the tunnels one last time. Not the danger, not the dark, the rhythm, the pulse, the hum. You think about the men who walk there still, bent-backed, wide-eyed, lanterns low. You hope someone tells their stories someday. Not with fanfare, not with lies, just the truth, soft as it is, that they carried the city on their shoulders and never asked to be seen, that they worked in silence so the world could go on pretending everything above was clean. You think about the boots you left by the stove, the coat still dripping, the line you drew beneath your last chalk mark. You close your eyes, and as sleep takes you, you whisper one final thanks, not to God, not to the city, but to the brick, the breath, the work. You don't return for days. You don't need to. The tunnel doesn't call you like it used to. It waits, patient, like an old dog by the back door. One morning you wake before dawn and know it's time. You dress without thinking. Your hands go through the motions. The boots slip on easy. The scarf wraps twice. You don't pack chalk. Don't need a rod. You don't bring food. You know how long you'll be gone. Just enough. You walk to the shaft near the apothecary, where the gate rusts open with a sound like breathing. You climb down into a world you never really left. The moment your boots hit stone, the air folds around you like a blanket. Damp, familiar, yours. You walk without a lamp, you know the way by heart. The path takes you past the chamber where you first coughed blood. The mark's still there, faded but honest. You press your palm to the wall, then move on. You pass the pipe that moaned like a cello, the spot where Tambour taught you to scrape with both hands, the vent where Jules dropped his torch. You stop there. Listen. Nothing. No echo. No flame. Just water somewhere distant, trickling slow like thought. You pass through the ribs again, the vaulted ceiling where the air moves like music. You pause beneath it and let your head rest back against the curve. It's the first time in months your spine doesn't ache. You breathe deep, let the rot in, let the weight settle. You push on, you're not here to remember. You're here to close a loop. At the deepest bend you take the left tunnel, the one that always felt wrong, the one no one marked, the one Tambour called cursed, half joking. You step carefully. Each stone here feels closer together. The air doesn't move. Your breath stays close to your face. The walls sweat in silence. You walk until the tunnel ends, not with a collapse, not with a grate, just an arch, clean, dreary. You step through it and find the room you never found before. Small, round, no bricks, just cut stone, old and black. In the centre sits a chair, nothing else. You don't sit. You just stand in the doorway, watching it. You feel nothing, no fear, no comfort, just a pause. A space between what was and what's next. You pull the token from your coat. You place it on the ground, not as a marker, not as a grave, as a weight, a hinge. You whisper the names again. Those who came before, those who didn't return. You don't light a lamp. You don't leave a mark. You don't need to. The walls will remember. They always do. You turn, walk back the way you came. Slower now. Not from fatigue. From finality. You pass the ribs, the vent, the old scrape marks. You touch each one like braille. You feel each line. You climb the ladder at Rue Saint-Antoine. Your hands move smoother. Your knees don't shake. When you reach the top, the sky is just starting to bloom. You stand on the curb and let the light break over your face. You walk home past the butcher's stall and the bakery. Past the woman with the red shawl who never says hello. You wave. She doesn't wave back, doesn't matter. You reach the tenement, climb the stairs, open the door. Your room is still. Your boots leave marks on the floor. You take off your coat, hang it once more. You light the lamp for the first time in days. Let it burn bright. You boil water, clean your hands, eat hot bread with salt. You sit on the cot and lean against the wall. You listen. The pipes groan faintly. You don't flinch. You don't move. You sleep without dreaming. For once you rest above the ground without guilt. You let the tunnel be what it is. Whole, closed, complete. And when morning comes, you don't reach for your boots. You don't trace chalk on the wall. You don't descend. You simply sit at the window, watching the sun rise over a city that never knew your name. But you knew hers, intimately. You knew her veins, her breath, her weight. You kept her clean when no one else would. You made peace with the filth, not because it's noble, but because it's necessary. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. You lean your head against the window frame, eyes half closed. The street shifts. The shadows move. But down below, deep below, the water still runs, and someone else climbs down the ladder. You hope they remember to breathe through their sleeve. You hope they learn the tunnel's rhythm. You hope they last. Tonight you don't light the lamp. You let the dark in the room stretch across the walls, soft and slow. You sit with it. Let it surround you, not trap you. There's no fear in it anymore, just quiet. You sip warm broth from a tin cup. Your hands are steadier than they've been in weeks. Outside, the street flickers with lanterns and footsteps. Laughter, arguments, the usual life. You stay still. You listen to the tick of the clock on the shelf, slow and steady. Your breathing falls into time with it. The warmth in the room isn't from fire. It's from something else. Stillness, earned. You think back to the first shift, the cold, the wait, the look in Tambour's eyes, the silence between words. You didn't know it then, but you were learning a language no one teaches, one built from brick and breath. You don't know who's working the catchment now. It doesn't matter. They'll learn the same rhythm. They'll feel the same pressure behind the walls, the same dull sting in the lungs after a long crawl. They'll mark the bricks in chalk, add their own jokes to the soot. They'll come home with the same hunched shoulders, and one day, maybe they'll stop going down, not from fear, from knowing that what needed to be done was done, that they gave their share. You reach for the jar on the shelf, the one with the shift token, the chalk, the coin. You unscrew the lid, turn the pieces over in your hand. They're cold, but not lifeless. You place them back gently, reseal the jar, set it down. You don't need to carry it anymore. You step outside. The city's quieted some. The air is damp, heavy with tomorrow's rain. You walk without aim, past closed cafes, past the corner where Jules once waited for the meat cart, past the fountain that trickles even in winter. You stop at a manhole cover near Rue du Temple. You kneel beside it. Run your hand across the metal. It hums, not literally, but with memory. You whisper nothing, just listen. The street is still. A carriage clatters 2 blocks away. A cat knocks over a bottle. You stay there, crouched until your knees ache. Then you stand, keep walking. You don't need to go back down, not tonight, maybe not ever. But it feels good to be close, to feel the breath of the city rise from its lungs below. Back in the room, you change into clean clothes. You scrape the last of the wax from the window frame. You sweep the corner where dust gathered like moss. You fold your coat, lay it flat, set your boots beside it, not to abandon them, just to rest them. You pull the blanket tight and sit on the edge of the bed. A book rests on the nightstand. You open it. The pages smell like ink and damp linen. You don't read the words, just run your finger along the lines. You haven't done this in weeks. You forgot how quiet letters are when they're not scrawled in chalk. How dry they feel. How clean. You close the book, not because the story's over, but because you've written yours, in brick, in water, in shadow. You drift off slowly. The world pulls away in gentle threads. You hear the hiss of steam in the walls, the groan of old wood, a footstep overhead, then nothing. You're back in the tunnels, but not walking, just floating. The walls breathe, the air hums. You glide past rooms you never marked, names you never knew. You see a flash of red cloth, a glint of a coin. You pass the rows. It spins again, open, full, unburned. You reach a chamber where water drips like a clock. You sit. Let the drops count the seconds. You whisper something, not in French, not in words, just sound, just memory. The water answers, not with a voice, with rhythm, the same one you've carried home every night, the same one that never stops. And when morning comes and the city stretches its arms into the smoke and the bells, your name is gone. No plaque, no stone, no record, but the tunnels hold you, in every mark, in every patch, in every silent corner where light has never touched. You were there. You made it through. Not for glory, not for thanks, for breath, for brick, for the flush no one notices, for the flame that never flared too high. You didn't last a day. You lasted longer. Long enough for the city to forget what it owes you. And that, in Paris, is almost a kind of love.